My name is John Rensenbrink. I'm from Maine, originally from Minnesota. So I'm a Midwesterner with an Eastern accent. But actually I don't have an accent anymore. I would like to, first of all, thank you all for coming. And I would really rapidly, in rapid form, please indicate who you are and where you're from. And start with you, Tony. What a discovery! It's really wonderful. I want very quickly, first of all, to identify what we're going to do. I'm going to talk for a few minutes to introduce the basis of the what is informal working group that I've been presiding over for the last 3 months, called Explore 07. And after that, I want to take up the main features of the document which we have distributed to you and which we worked up and reached the point where, though it's a work in progress, we at least feel that we have something to present. And that's going to go through additional changes and so on. And in the light of that, I'm first going to identify the main features of that document, and then after that, I'll identify already 4 suggestions for changes that have come to me since I got here. And then also, in addition, to invite other additions or criticism, whatever, and deal with controversial things that might be in the document that people have. And then to end with an indication of what the pathway for this document in the future. So let me begin with the introduction. My friends, we are building a party. We are building a political party. We're not building a political club. We're not building an NGO. What we're doing is building a real political party. And we're building a political party to contest for political power in these United States. Pause for applause. I think a lot of us miss that point a lot of times in our daily work and in our outlook and so forth. I think it's extremely important to know that we are contesting for political power for important goals for the United States of America and for the planet. The need is there, the opportunity is there, and we want to go over the 2008 situation because that's the short-term goals we've identified in this document. I think it's very clear, and Dee Berry has indicated to me of her very deep attachment to saying something on the order about the fact that, number one, the Republican Party is near implosion. It's got a lot of problems internally. The Democratic Party, well, we know about the Democratic Party. It's lost its way several decades ago, and it hasn't ever found its way back yet, and so forth. So it's really up to a third party to capture the hearts and minds or inspire the hearts and minds of many, many Americans, millions of Americans in the next decade and beyond. I think if you ask the majority of citizens in this country, and it's been asked again and again by the polls, do you think that this country is going in the right direction? And the majority of them, for a long time now, and even increasingly now because of this Bush leader in the White House, their answer is no, it's not. It is not going in the right direction. It doesn't mean that therefore they know which direction we ought to be going in. And I think to that degree, we have a responsibility internally in our department to decide among ourselves what is our direction and what is our goal, what is our long-term strategy for retrieving democracy and constitutional government and sanity in our national government. So that's a very important thing. The other thing that really strikes me is that, you know that the color of green is the color of hope. And we can make that manifest in all our ways. Hope is the color of green. And hope is what I think we have to offer the American people in this hour of desperate need and great opportunity for improvement. So, we are today's party. I'm going to steal your line, Ellen. We are today's party for tomorrow's world. And in that light, we'd have to lay the groundwork for moving forward. I would like us to think in terms of steps in this document. That's what we've come to. And steps is not as if taking step after a step on a level playing field. That's not the image I have in mind. The image I have in mind is a step like this, going up like that. It's more like a hill, series of hills, and a mountain. And we are climbing those, and each step we go should be a preparation for the next step. You understand? You grok that. I think it's absolutely crucial that we begin as Marines to grok that, to understand that we are part of a movement that grows by propulsion forward, by taking one step and taking another step forward that's higher than the last one before. Otherwise, I think we're going to be fractionated. We're just going to be wandering in some kind of a level, hopefully grassland, but that doesn't really work. And I think it's really important for us, and that's what this document is trying to do, to show that there is a way to move forward from step to step. And the steps are, to me, at this point, the steps are, I think, relatively invisible to most Marines. They're opaque to our fellow men and fellow citizens, because we haven't yet really projected what the Green Party can do, is doing, and our credibility and our image and our message. Because we haven't discovered the message and we don't stay on message. Now, those are harsh words, I'm sorry. But that was the inspiration why a lot of us around the country thought it was time for a very informal group to think about next steps, to think about a way of thinking about ourselves and about our approach to the people of our country. And that approach is going to be animated by a sense of reaching out and giving them a message of hope, and a sense that we can move and we are serious about moving forward as a political party. So to make visible and tangible and real those steps that we have to take. In that line, I think we need to think hard, much more hard than we did before. And that has been, I think, the certain image of the media workshop this morning that I attended. And that is to think really hard right now about marketing the party. That word marketing may be resisted by a lot of us, but I think it's about time to really think of a marketing strategy, and marketing strategy all over the world, all over this country. And Alan Colburn from Florida offered a late email the other day in which he identifies some particulars in that regard. What I'd like to do now is just look briefly at this document that you have. Everybody got a copy of the document? Who has not got a copy of the document? Thank you. So the main features of the document are these, as I figured them out. First of all, the presidency of the United States. I suppose that if you asked the average fellow citizen in a grocery store and told that person that you represented a party that felt that it could place a candidate in the White House, you'd probably get quite an interesting response. Incredulity would start. But if you're able to follow it up with some sincerity and some pizzazz and some filling that stuff in with a good marketing strategy backing it, then he or she might begin to rethink this. Oh yeah, at least these people are serious about doing something together, not as a collection of individuals, but as a serious unified force that really aims to take the White House. That is quite an astonishing and serious and way out man goal. And yet, if you ask yourself, which office in the United States, which office in the world does everybody know? Answer, the presidency of the United States. That's where each individual knows who it is. It's interesting, it has a lot of lousy things connected with that, the father of the country and all that. But nevertheless, and maybe eventually the mother of the country, but nevertheless, that's, unless we as a party are serious about gaining the White House, I think we're going to be dismissed. At the same time, I also believe that a presidential candidate in 2008, 2012, 16, and 20 as long as it takes. First, until you get the 5%, which then is a launching pad for getting a lot more next time. But if you go that way, you'll realize that we can mount a campaign that will convince more and more of our citizens that we have a trajectory that moves from one step to another step to gain the White House for the Green Party. And I emphasize Green Party, not just a Green president. Tom Friedman of the New York Times is all for a Green president. I said in a big essay several weeks ago. We're not talking about that. We're talking about a Green Party president. And you got to think about that, what that means for our party. So that's number one. And I would add to that that the presidential candidate, our presidential candidates, in the year 2008, 2010, which I was on for a minute ago, or 2012, will be able to energize this party to a greater degree, in a degree to which, two things. One, that the campaign is dedicated to making it easier next time to win. And at the same time, making it a lot easier for our local candidates to be known and to be victors. Whether it's state legislature or local candidates, even for the partisan office or nonpartisan office, that the word gets around that, hey, we have a presidential candidate and vice president who are coming around, and they are really gung-ho for pushing the party. That's why, excuse me for having to say this, that's why I think it's crucial that our presidential candidate next year be a member of the Green Party. A bona fide, authentic member of the Green Party. And until we reach that point, we haven't grown up as a party. We have not grown up as a party until we have done that. However, there are serious questions about that back and forth. I have argued with my dear friend Ralph Nader for ages about that, and I would hope that we could persuade him at last to join us. But that's just an editorial aside. That's not in this document. Okay, the second strong thing we need to do is to begin to select what I put down here and what has gone back and forth on our listserv. And I think quite a bit of agreement on this, in fact, very much agreement, which is we select 3 House races in the country and 1 senatorial race next year, in terms of which we will devote a certain priority of our interest, a priority of our energy, a priority of whatever money we're able to raise to getting those people elected. We won't succeed right away, but if we do it in 2008 and 2010, I think by 2012 we'll have both. Now that's a goal. That's a viable. It means persistence. It means thinking in terms of steps. It means thinking ahead.
Are you taking any comments?
Not yet.
Okay.
Thank you. I know you've got lots, but I got the floor right now. Okay, that's the second strong thing. I related to that, which is not in this document, and has been presented to me both by, urged to me by both by Scott McClarty and by Greg Garrett. And that is something that I think we had originally thought about, but I sort of did not, and that's a mea culpa here. And that is to say also that one of our goals as a national party is to assist state parties in helping them run good races and strong races in winnable districts. Winnable districts around the country. And that's not just 20, that's hundreds. If you add up all the states, I think we got a chance to really win quite a few of those if we really put our minds to it, our cohesion to it, our energy to it, our marketing strategy to it, our enthusiasm to it, and we got the vision. We work hard and we add vision to it, and that enables us to escape the drudgery of every day. To combine them together. Okay, so that's presidency, the Senate, the House, and state legislature. And then also, we have an opportunity to, well, as props for that sort of campaign, we need to have a serious attention to fundraising. I know we all say that, but I think that fundraising will help a great deal if we do have a more focused approach to our strategy. a more sense of the steps we're taking. I think if we communicate that to ourselves, to our constituencies, to our candidates, to our candidate helpers and so on, we will develop a ethos of commitment in this country, in this green, beautiful country, to a green politics right up and down the hill. We also, I think, this document also calls for a very, what we call a sort of a strong and vivid commitment or a vivid campaign to market the green country, to market the Green Party. And Alan, I like your contribution to that direction very much. We want to fill that out in this document as examples of the kinds of things we can do and so forth. I'm reaching the point of finishing my introduction, and I think what I need to say yet is yes. Some additions that we have identified to the document, and one is, as I said, we supporting state parties to get the members elected in the state legislature. Another one will be something that Alan has suggested, and I mentioned that before, about additions to the statement here about getting a good marketing strategy going. Alan is now the newly identified chair of the outreach committee. Again, we can work together with the CCC and all the other wonderful committees. And then also as an additional part of the feature of this document, we would like, if you look at in the short-term goals for 2007-2008, right under that, and before we use number A, B, C, D, then we have a preamble there, which identifies what I said earlier about the need and the opportunity for the Green Party in 2008 as never before. As never before, we have the need and the opportunity. I think it's strange how life works, but it's strange, even stranger how politics work. But we do have an opportunity next year to fill in what I think is going to become growingly perceived as a vacuum. That vacuum will attempt to be filled by Alan Bloomberg and the Unity 08 movement. But I think that also is going to be, well, in the short term, it might be semi-successful in shaking up the system, but it will be a preface to our truly shaking up the system thereafter. So I think 2008 becomes very crucial. And then a point that Ben Chelsis has raised with me several times, and first I shrugged it off, but now I begin to think that he's right. We need to have something in this document about corporations and about corporate power. And I know Move On, which, you know, but Move On has had a conference, I believe, in which they're talking about taming the giant corporations. That's a very wonderful phrase. But I would add to that, taming the giant corporations in the interest of small business. Because that attaches a positive element to what is otherwise perceived as simply another negativity. I think we have to get away from negativities and the typical kind of protest mentality that always identifies all what we're against. We need, as a party, to project hope, folks, and therefore clear, identifiable goals and positive things to do on all the issues.